The Devas and Asuras. This is a concept we hear a lot about in Vedic astrology of these different type of gods. But what are they really? What makes them different? And what are some misconceptions about them? That's what I'm going to be getting into next, so stay tuned for that. Hey everyone, I'm BRYAN EASTERDAY and welcome back to Eye of the Storm Astrology. So today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Devas and the Asuras, which for those of you who don't know, those are they're like two different types of gods or deities that we see in the Vedic philosophy. But before I get into that, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and do yourself a favor and hit that notification bell as well, because I don't want you to miss out on any videos that could be helping you turn your challenges into strengths. So first off, let me kind of introduce what the general idea of the Devas and the Asuras are, and then I'll go through and address some of the misconceptions within those, or why people have those conclusions. We'll give the reasoning behind it. So first off, the Devas. These are like the gods that people think of as like the heavenly gods, the celestial gods. They're kind of more willing to cooperate with others, and I'll explain why that is here in a bit. And they're the ones that dwell in Swarga, or at least they currently dwell in Swarga, although the Asuras and the Devas both used to dwell there together. And Swarga is like the heavenly paradise, so for those of you who don't know. Now, the Asuras, and this is the one that people have a lot of misunderstanding about. The Asuras, many people label them as demons, and that's not really accurate, especially if you're thinking about demons from like the Abrahamic or monotheistic type of, or even the more Western type of philosophy and mindset. These are not the same as the Asuras. Very, very different things. The reason why they kind of get that bad rap, though, is because they're more what you could say like terrestrial type of gods. They deal with things like reproduction and magic and fertility and the weather, and all of these like different type of things. Now, if we really want to understand these, we need to understand the language, the Sanskrit of why are they called Deva and Asura, or also Sura and Asura, because that's another word for the Devas is Asura. First off, Surya means very powerful, or powerful. So it just means, strong. They're a god. They're a powerful being. Then Asura means very powerful. Like they're even more powerful than the Devas. This is why they tend to be more individualistic, less likely to want to cooperate, because they don't need to. They're a powerful individual on their own. Why would they need help from anybody else? Whereas like the Devas, they're fighting the Asuras all the time, and they're not as powerful as them. So they have to cooperate and organize together in order to try to, battle them. And I'll get into why the war between them actually started here in a bit here. So because the Asuras are just very powerful beings, it doesn't mean they're bad. It just means they tend to be more individualistic. They're less likely to bow a knee to someone. They don't see the need for that. They're like more sovereign type of beings. Now, if we want to understand why like the war between these beings actually came up and why the Asuras have kind of gotten a bad rap, we have to look at one of the original mythologies. And this is how Indra became the king of the gods. Now, keep in mind, Indra is just a functional title. So there's different Indras at different times in history. But the Indra that we're talking about is the when everybody says Indra, this is who they're referring to. He's the god of thunderstorms, rain, that type of thing. So originally, the original Indra, or king of the gods, was an Asura named Varuna. And he is like he's like a Vishnu, but on like in the physical plane. So he was very wise. He was meant to judge everybody because he could see things from all perspectives, that type of thing. He was a very good king. He was someone that should have been in that position of leadership. Now, one of the other asuras named Vitra, he was a dragon, and he really wanted to, he found Apis, the goddess of river and flowing waters, just so attractive that he really wanted to have her, and she wasn't interested in his advances. So then he took her and he tried to constrain her. Now Varuna, seeing things from everybody's perspective, saw that not only like Vitra, that he was just really infatuated with her, and like, yeah, that probably isn't going to work out for him, but I don't need to intervene, it'll work itself out. She's Apis, like she's water, you can't contain her, she's going to free herself. But in the thunder god, who ends up becoming Indra, at the time, he couldn't make rain, he couldn't do his job because this dragon was holding Apis hostage. So he became very upset, and his ego got hurt. So then he went and tried to attack the dragon, and it didn't work. He lost. And then he had to go and do what Indra does best, which is become a politician. And this will tell you a lot about how Jyesta Nakshatra operates, because that's Indra's Nakshatra. But what he started doing was whispering here, well, maybe Varuna shouldn't have, be in control. Maybe he isn't so partial. Like, he's an asura, and then this dragon, is an asura. Maybe that's why he's not doing anything about it, right? Maybe he is biased. Maybe he's not as unbiased as what we think him all to be, which is the reason why we have him being, he becomes very crafty, and he starts, doing manipulation. Through this process, he ends up usurping the throne from Varuna, and then he becomes Indra. He becomes the king of the gods. Then what he does is, instead of just, like the one asura Vitra, he ends up killing him, right? So he's dead, he's gone. But what he goes and does, then he takes it a step further, and he goes and profiles all of the asuras, lumps them all together, and said, oh, just because one of you did this, now all of you are banished from Swarga. And keep in mind, this was their rightful home. They had just as much right to be there as the Devas did. And they got kicked out because of the actions of one individual. That'd be like nowadays, if, say, you have one person of a certain race that goes and commits a crime, then taking everybody else of that same race and saying, well, get out of the country now, right? Really terrible move. Is not a very good thing, or a good way to start any type of rulership, really. So because of this, the Asuras, they were, they're very powerful beings, and they were wrongfully ejected from their home. So they get angry about this. This is why they hate Indra. This is why there's a war between the Devas and the Asuras, is because Indra was actually quite a manipulative little shit, to be honest, and ended up like taking a throne that he was neither qualified to lead from or anything. That's why, like, in a lot of the mythology story after this, as it goes on, he ends up having to get help from all the other different gods and stuff, because he can't do Varuna's job as good as Varuna did it, because he's Indra. He's not impartial like Varuna was. He couldn't see everywhere like Varuna could, so on and so forth, so he ended up needing help, and having to get different beings in order to help him carry the load. So he would delegate away some of the responsibilities, like, for example, the responsibility of keeping track of everybody's actions and karmas. That then goes to Lord Yama, and he takes over that because Indra couldn't do it all like Varuna was. So he wasn't really qualified for the position, and then manipulated and got himself in that, and then did a really terrible thing, and then kicked out a whole race of other beings. So this is why the Asuras kind of are always trying to attack Swarga and attack Indra, because they're trying to get their homeland back. Just like if someone came and stole your house, at some point you'd probably be like, yeah, I want to go knock that person's fucking teeth in and get my house back. Like, it's a normal thing, like, to be upset about something like that, especially when an injustice has been done to you, and an injustice was done to them. Like, so it's not such a black and white thing that, oh, Devas are the good guys and Asuras are the bad guys. This is not the case at all. In fact, in the mythology, many of them have to ask each other for help. For example, even Indra, as much as he hates the Asuras, one time he was being very arrogant and haughty, and his guru Brihaspati came in, and he didn't pay attention to him. He ignored him. So Brihaspati left, made it to where Indra couldn't find him. So now Indra was out without a guru. He didn't know how to perform the sadhanas then, or the rituals to do, or any of that. So he started losing power. So what did he have to do? He ended up actually having to go and find another guru, and this guru was an asura. He was the son of Maya, which is an illusion, very powerful asura. He's the son of him. He tried to find Maya, couldn't find him, found his son. And this was like a three-headed son, but in short, and then that sort of helped Indra become more powerful. He did ritual for him, and then Indra ends up getting angry at him for something very stupid, and then cutting his head off and killing him. So you can see this quality that, like, Indra, if the Devas are the good guys, well, their king, the guy they have in a leadership position, isn't always so shiny as everybody makes him out to be. He actually makes quite a lot of pretty terrible mistakes and poor judgment calls, especially for someone who's supposed to be a leader. That's even one of the things he used to get Varuna off the throne. Is he said a good leader should be beyond reproach. A good king should be beyond reproach. In other words, he should be so wise and act so correctly and with such wisdom that no one can say anything bad about it. But does Indra hold that standard for himself? Not at all. So you can see some of that quality. So it's not such a black and white thing. And then, for example, like one of the kings of the Asuras at one time, Bali, he was a very spiritual being, wanted nothing more than to worship Guru, was extremely humble, was a very good being. But yeah, he was the king of the Asuras. Not such a black and white thing here, we can see. So get out of your mind that the Asuras are something bad, because they're just really powerful beings. And we could take a lesson from that, learning to step into our power, that we are powerful beings and that we don't have to bow down and scrape to authority or to madmen that want to take over the entire planet for their own terrible means. And so they can exploit the planet and the rest of humanity. That's bullshit. We're too powerful to let that happen as long as we realize it. So maybe we have some lessons that we could learn from the Asuras. So that's going to wrap this video up, guys. I hope you found it valuable. Like I said, I just want to do a short little introduction on this one. If you did, do me a favor, hit that like button. Please share it around if you feel so called to do so. And do yourself a favor as well and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss out on any future videos that could help you turn your challenges into strengths. If you need to contact me about booking consultations, courses, asking me a question, whatever it may be, you can click the link in the description below. That goes to my link tree, and that's a one-stop shop for my website. So you can purchase all of my different services and all my social media, so you can follow along with all of my work. Thank you for tuning in, guys. I appreciate your guys' support, and I'll see you guys next time.